Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. It says my mic is muted. Okay. What's going on there, Oscar? Now, apparently it's not. Okay, we always seem to have trouble at the beginning of the stream lately. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you happen to be in the world. Welcome to the IAG Live streaming show, more commonly just known as IAG Live, and welcome to the very last IAG Live of 2025. And it's just me today. Ben is already taken off. He's off to the Hunter Valley in New South Wales to enjoy some wine there. So it'll just be me holding the fort. But of course, as always, we have our intrepid studio producer, Oscar Guiaro. Come on in, Oscar.
Hello.
What's going on with this stream? How come the start of the stream always messes up lately? What's going on?
I don't know. I hear you perfectly. It seems you have some back sound or some lacking back dislocation.
No, there's a thing up on my screen that says your mic is muted and the music doesn't run through like it used to run through. And then all of a sudden it just clicked and went straight into being on me. It didn't. The music didn't run through to the end, so that was very odd. Anyway.
Okay.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Anyway, how are you, Oscar?
I'm okay. Okay, all good.
That's good. In the office again. Last one for 2025.
Indeed, yeah.
What do you got planned for the break?
Well, I don't know. Enjoy family. Have traditional food and see what Santa is bringing me. I've been a good boy.
You've been a good boy. You've been nice. So. You haven't been naughty.
Well, you know, I need to lie to Santa.
You need to lie to Santa. Okay, very good. Well, thanks for everything this year, Oscar. Thanks for all your hard work. And we will see. Well, I'll see you in the office later today. We'll be having our traditional office breakup lunch we always have on December 19, which it is today. And then we'll all take off and be back January 5, Monday, January 5. But we've got a really, really big IAG Live lined up for you today. A lot to go through to finish off the year, to give you a lot to think about and to watch over the break. So, Oscar, I'm sure you've got all that stuff queued up, ready to go.
Yep.
And we'll get started. All right. So thanks, Oscar. See you next year.
Bye-bye. Feliz Navidad.
Naviz, I've forgotten already. Oh no, I'm in big trouble with Oscar. Okay. Actually, Oscar, we're not going to start with that. Just go back to me for the moment. A few things to go through first. Or just one thing to go through first. I want to let everybody know that our Chinese reporter who specializes in Chinese stories, Piers Chan, had a baby this week. So a couple of days ago, 3 days ago now, Piers had his first ever child, a daughter. So big congratulations to Piers. You might see his name in IAG on asgam.com on various stories. He usually writes one story each issue of the magazine. So that's great news for Piers, and congratulations to him. Now, Oscar, let's go into the stories of the week. So actually a lot happened this week, and look, we might just fly through these because I've actually got 19 of them here that I want to quickly, briefly mention, but we won't go into any detail. So this is an interesting one. So we had our MAD event at Solaire on Friday last week, the 12th of December, and it actually clashed with the opening of the new Hann gaming floor, unfortunately, up there in Clark. So congratulations to Hann, an IAG client and friends of IAG, and we go up there from time to time and up to Clark. It's just a couple of hour drive north of Manila, and great little property there. And the dominant property in Clark, nearly half of the GGR in Clark is Hann. And congrats to Aristocrat, which got 700 and two. I'm sure they love 700, 270 new slot machines as part of that expansion. And Hann really needed that big expansion because if you've ever been to Hann on a Friday or a Saturday night, boy, is it packed. So congratulations to them. All right, Oscar, let's keep moving through pretty quickly because there's a lot to get through this week. And on the theme of Hann, Dennis Andreaci, who many people will know, was actually voted the industry legend at the IAG Academy IR Awards in September this year, the one and only industry legend for this year, joining last year's very popular selection of Kieran Carruthers. So Kieran and Dennis now are the two industry legends, and they'll be joined by one every year from now on in. There's a picture of Dennis actually at the awards in September, and he was on the head table. And obviously Dennis has had a career of some, I think, 45 years. He's been at Galaxy. I mean, where hasn't he been? He's been at Galaxy, started off on the east coast of the US, I think, Dennis, and then spent a lot of time in Asia. He was in Bangkok for a long time, and a very popular figure in our industry. I remember interviewing Dennis when he was the head of gaming at Galaxy just before the opening of phase 1 of Galaxy Macau on the 15th of May 2011. God, that was 14 years ago now. So very popular gentleman in our industry, Dennis Andreaci, and he is retiring on December 31, just some, 11, 12 days from now, and will be replaced by Rod Hackman, an Australian, another industry veteran. Rod's been where hasn't Rod been as well? So Rod was at Marina Bay Sands, was actually at PH for a while, and now is currently settling in up there at Hann, and will take over from Dennis from January 1. So congratulations to Dennis on a fine career, and congratulations to Rod on the new job. Mr. Hahn's got a good one there. All right, let's move on. What's next, Oscar? Yeah, so Naga Corp, I mean, it was a different time when Naga 3 was announced. Oscar, if you go to magazines and look on the front cover of our magazines, perhaps 5 years ago, I'm guessing if you just scroll down, you'll see on the cover a few years back, Naga 3, a big picture of the building. Just keep going down. Is that it? There it is. August 2020. A good guess, 5 years ago. Where there was, Naga was kicking butt back then. And there you go, story by Mohammed Cohen when he worked for us. And talking all about Naga 3 and what Naga was going to be. But of course, Naga 3 never eventuated. COVID came along, and then obviously Dr. Chen passed away. And then there was the issue with his sons in the takeover and so forth. So it looks like Naga 3 is no more. So maybe just go back to the story now, Oscar. All of that Oscar's flicking through is what Naga 3 was envisaged. But Naga Corp terminates the funding agreement with controlling Chen family for Naga 3 development. So whether Naga 3 will happen or not, I don't think it will. Let's just have a look here. Yeah, I mean, go ahead and read the story, but that development is certainly on the back burner. And they were the days when Tim McNally was chairman of Naga, and it's a different Naga today than what it was 5 years ago. All right, next story, Oscar. What do we got next? Yeah, SJM shareholders given the green light, excuse me, to the acquisition of Lark. They have 12 days to go to the end of the year to finalise that deal. And Lark, very close to our office, actually, the IAG office. just walking distance to the office, will become a wholly owned property, or self-promoted property as they call it, SJM, to distinguish from the satellites. And of course, that's necessitated by the fact that we can have no satellites by the end of the year. And I think as of now, we're down to one satellite remaining, Landmark, which will close at midnight on the 30th of December, at the end of the 30th of December, not the 31st. So Lark to become an SJM property and to continue on post 2025, no longer a satellite. All right, next one, Oscar. A lot of news this week, a lot of news. So Steve McCann stepped down as Group CEO of Star. So as has been flagged by IAG for a long time, Bally's and Soo Kim as chairman of Bally's have gone for this takeover, along with Bruce Mathieson Jr. Have gone for this 300 million takeover, where they end up with about 60% between the two of them. 2/3, 1/3, 2/3 Bally's, 1/3 Bruce Mathieson Jr., who's putting in 100 million, and Bally's putting 200 million. And they finally got control a week or two ago, and then just scroll to the top again, Oscar. So Steve has stepped down as Group CEO, and there's been, I think you'll see in a future story that I've got up here, that he's been replaced by Bruce Mathieson Jr. as CEO, who stepped down from being chairman, and Soo Kim stepped into being chairman. I think we've got that as another story. I don't think that was expected. I think that was something that just happened, and maybe it was going to happen later, but I just get the impression that it wasn't expected. I think Soo Kim told the Australian Financial Review that. I think we've got that in a later story coming up. So interesting times at Star. There's certainly a lot going on. We've been hurry up and waiting for months and months and months, while we're waiting for Bally's to get probity from the NICC, the regulator. They've now got that, and things are moving fast now at Star in Sydney. Okay, next one, Oscar. Yeah, this is another thing that happened this week. Really interesting. I'll be there next month. I'm going to UAE in January on my way to Barcelona. Wynn announced the topping out of Wynn Al Marjan Island. Excuse me. a little bit of a cough there. Announced the topping out, which obviously is a significant milestone in the building of any building. So they had a little celebration on the topping out, and Wynn certainly ramping up the publicity around Al Marjan Island. I've been a big spruiker of this property for a number of years now. While all the others have been naysayers, I've been saying it's going to be their biggest contributor. It's going to be a big, beautiful property, perhaps the most beautiful building even in the world. Certainly beautiful on the inside, and on the outside too, of course, and certainly probably the most beautiful IR in the world. I think when it opens soon, we can say next year. In 12 days time, we'll be able to say next year, March 2027, the official start date. I noticed Wynn have started saying spring 2027, perhaps to give themselves a little bit of an out if it goes to April or May, but it'll definitely be first half of 2027. And it's going to be so exciting. I'm really looking forward to going. I'll be meeting the property president while I'm there, and I'm looking forward to going there to the UAE next month in January, and on the way to ICE. And I just think this property is going to be amazing. They had a lot of the analysts there. They had a big analyst day there about a week and a half ago. We reported on that. And so now all the analysts are bullish because they've been and actually seen it with their own eyes. It's going to be a great property. Super interesting what's going on there in the UAE. And they'll be doing other things in the UAE as well, not just visiting Wynn. And I can't say anything about that right now, but more to come in IAG in the coming months. All right, let's move on. Oscar, what's next? Yeah, this is something we did this week. This week being the last week of the year for us, or last week of the year of the office being open anyway. I'll be doing a little bit of work next week, but our office closes today. Today is the final day, and then reopens January 5. And so we took the opportunity this week to announce a few things, and we announced the venue sponsors for the next 6 years of the Power 50. Just shoot down to the table, Oscar. So this is the order. So we've now completed the 18th Asian Gaming Power 50 was the end of a cycle of 6 of the Macau concessionaires. That was at SJM Resorts. That was at Grand Lisboa Palace, of course. On Friday, was it the 8th? I think it was the 8th of November or the 7th of November this year. Always traditionally the first Friday in November. And now we begin the next cycle. And we've spoken, IAG, we've spoken to all 6 concessionaires, and they were all comfortable with us making this announcement. That is not, I just hasten to add, as we did in the last paragraph of the story, that this is not an official confirmation by the 6. That happens each year as the years roll out. We announce the official venue and venue sponsor upon signing of the agreement each year. We do that on an annual basis, but the 6. I'm sure this is the way it will roll out, barring anything crazy happening, one of them going out of business or something. Barring that, I think this is going to be how it's going to roll out. So please get the dates in your diary. 6th of November next year at Galaxy. We already kind of know exactly where at Galaxy it's going to be, but we don't want to announce that officially until we sign on the dotted line with Galaxy, which we expect to do early in the new year. Anyway, this is the order: 6th of November 26, 5th of November 27, 3rd of November 28, 2nd of November 29, 1st of November 2030, and Friday the 7th of November 2031 back to SJM Resorts again. Who knows what we'll all be doing that day, but there's one thing I know: I'll be at the Asian Gaming Power 50, the 24th one on that day. Okay, let's move on, Oscar. Next. I think you've gone backwards there, Oscar. Digiplus, yeah, just wanted to mention this. It's been all doom and gloom for the PIGO industry, or the e-game sector, as PAGCOR prefers to call it, with the changes, the regulatory changes that have been made in the Philippines, such as the removal of outdoor advertising, the removal of direct links from GCash and other Philippines e-wallets directly to the online gaming. So there have been some headwinds there, some sensible headwinds to calm the industry down. And Digiplus, the major player in the industry, has turned around and said, you know what? Things are picking up again. So that's interesting. And I fully expect this to be a very, very important industry in the years going ahead. It's the nearest thing we've got to a proper regulated online gaming industry, iGaming industry in Asia. And I expect good news out of the Philippines regarding iGaming as we move forward. Okay, next one, Oscar. Yeah, this is just following on. CBRE was one of the analysts that Wynn invited over to Al Marjan Island, and they turned around and said, they're obviously very bullish on it now that they've seen it. Just scroll down a bit, Oscar. It was Colin Mansfield, Colin Mansfield and Connor Parks describing Wynn Al Marjan Island as a credit positive development, and saying it might be the biggest contributor to Wynn globally. Look, it may well be so. Let's see if, in terms of bottom line, obviously Wynn in Macau, very big GGR, but let's see in terms of bottom line how Wynn Al Marjan plays out, because it's going to be an amazing property. All right, move on. Next one, Oscar. Yeah, as I alluded to before, this was Wednesday. Soo Kim, in the wake of Steve McCann stepping down as Group CEO, I think Soo Kim and Bruce, I assume, I'm speculating that Soo Kim and Bruce Mathieson got their heads together and decided that Bruce would transition into the CEO role. And if he's got the energy and the will and the desire to do that, I think that's great, with a guy with $100 million of skin in the game to be the CEO. That's a really positive move. So I look forward to meeting Bruce Mathieson Jr. at some stage. I've actually never met the man before. I've heard a lot about him and about Bruce Mathieson Sr. as well over the years. Heard a lot about them, and I hope to meet him in the new year and talk to him about what he plans to do at Star. And of course, IAG has a very strong existing relationship with Soo Kim, really interesting guy. And so with Bruce stepping down from being chairman to CEO, I don't know if down's the right word actually. CEO is the active, executive role. Chairman's a little bit more of a passive oversight role, of course, which makes sense because Soo Kim's got a lot to oversee with their properties in New York and Chicago on the way, and also 17 other properties throughout the US, including what they're doing in Las Vegas at the old Tropicana site, plus their other gaming interests too in the lottery and iGaming world, and even in the property that they've got in the UK. So it makes sense that Soo Kim oversees all that, and that the Australian Bruce Mathieson Jr., who is a Sydney boy, would focus on that. So I think that's he'll be based in Sydney and running the show. So good luck to them. I hope that they're able to turn the Star around because it's really needed. It's really, really needed. Okay, next one, Oscar. Yeah, we held, as I mentioned before, MAD last Friday at Solaire. There's Suat standing next to me. There's Jason on the far right, and there's Dorothy on my far left. And I don't know, Oscar, if you can press the play button on the video and just let it run with no sound. Maybe go full screen on that. There it's the BRB, formerly known as the Baccarat Room and Bar in Solaire. And if you want a nice night out in Solaire, you could do a lot worse than heading down there. That's probably there. There's Harmon, there's Cyrus. A lot of we had a great night there, and Greg Hawkins, the COO that runs the show, he was there as well. Cyrus represented because Greg had to go. There's Sam Wilkes, head of F&B, and it was just a great night. There's Noel Murray. There's Greg. There's Ken Jolly. Of course, one of our strong sponsors, Light and Wonder, sponsoring the MADs over the years. And it was just a great little event. It's a great Christmas party for us all. And I'm just stalling a little bit because I'm waiting for the chairman to come in. I'm sure he comes in here at some point. Chairman Tenko, the chairman of PAGCOR. Maybe skip forward, Oscar, to where the chairman is. Yeah, don't show me being interviewed. That's boring. Just go up to the chairman. Where is the chairman? He was there. Oh, there he is. There's the chairman, gave us a nice little speech and congratulated IAG, and a great supporter of IAG, actually, which is fantastic. So very, very good. Yeah, good night. A really good night. All right, Oscar, let's move on to the next one. Super interesting. It was a busy week. If there was any thought of maybe a quiet week to close out the year, no, that doesn't happen anymore in the Asian gaming industry or the Asia Pacific gaming industry. So yeah, exciting, interesting news. Japan says, okay, it's time to have another go, and many of you viewers will be aware that Japan in 16 to 19, predominantly in 18 and 19, the 2 years before the pandemic, ran a very robust, probably too robust IR process, and we ended up with only one of the three possible IRs. The legislation enabled 3 licenses, but only one came through, of course, the MGM Oryx partnership in Osaka, which continues to be constructed on Yumashima Island, and has a current opening date of 2030, or have they bumped it out to 2031 yet? Maybe not. Maybe it's still 2030. They'll hate me for saying this, but I think it'll be 2031. But all credit to MGM and what they've done, the patience they've had, and now Japan's turned around and said, right, let's try and fill these other 2 licenses. So Hokkaido and Nagasaki are the 2 sort of areas that people are talking about. The 2 extremes of the country. Hokkaido, of course, in the far north or east, as the Japanese would say. Nagasaki in the far south or the west, as the Japanese would say. They tend to say their country runs east-west, whereas I think of it a little bit more as north-south. Obviously, it runs south-west to northeast. The archipelago, is it an archipelago? I guess it is Japan. I think Hokkaido was more likely than Nagasaki. I think Nagasaki had some serious, serious problems with the process last time, and we wrote about that extensively in IAG. Just Google, or don't have to Google, just go to the search and type in Nagasaki. Don't do it, Oscar. But yeah, if you wanted more information about what happened in Nagasaki last time, it was a bit of a farce, to be honest. But Hokkaido was simply the fact that it just fell through, and they ultimately didn't want to do it, and they found a environmental excuse to do so. I think a property in in Hokkaido. Did I say Nagasaki just then? I think I said Hokkaido. A property in Hokkaido makes a lot of sense, and Hard Rock seems to be the front runner in that. They're really, really keen for it. And yeah, so interesting that Japan will launch the second round of applications. So there's a public consultation process. Just scroll down, Oscar, running from now until. Did he put it in the story? Did Ben put it there? No, that's the official application period, which will be in 2027. No, I didn't put it in the story, but there's a public consultation process going from now until, can't remember the date, and then there's an application process in 2027. Anyway, let's move on because we've got so much to get through, Oscar. Oh, congratulations to Siobhan Lane. Siobhan Lane, the CEO of Light and Wonders Gaming business, was announced this week that she was going to become president of Global Gaming Women. Of course, IAG is quite close to Global Gaming Women via our sister company, CDC Gaming in the US. Global Gaming Women and CDC have a partnership on the Day Zero party that we run on the Sunday evening before G2E each year. We'll be doing that again this year. And we've had Siobhan actually on the cover of IAG as well. Oscar, if you just flick to the magazines, you can just quickly find, can't remember which issue it was, but it was about maybe a year and a half ago. I'm thinking, oh, you found it very quickly. Was it July? Was it July this year? July 25. Wow, how time flies. Wow. I didn't realize it was that recently. Yeah, it was a really good interview with Siobhan. So if you're interested in finding out more about Siobhan, go to the July 2025 issue of IAG. Nice long interview there. And of course, all of our magazine articles, you can read them either in flipbook style, as Oscar is doing here, or alternatively, Oscar, maybe you can just do it. You can go to the magazine articles section of the website, mag articles, and that'll show a flipbook of the current issue, which we have Hann, and then all of these articles here, just keep scrolling down. These are all articles that were in the magazine, and you can read them in web version, which is probably a little easier to read on your phone or on your computer. All right, Oscar, let's go to the next story. There's Hubert. I won't say anything. Hard Rock says still committed to Japan. Well, there you go. There's we had a quote from Ardo. Basically, the story built around a quote from Ardo Machida, the president of Hard Rock Japan. If you scroll down there, you'll see the quote that Ardo gave us. And Ardo said, "We at Hard Rock are very pleased that a new round of national licenses is being conducted, and we've remained committed to Japan throughout COVID in order to build a world-class premier destination resort for the Japanese market with the ever-increasing number of international visitors." So, well, maybe not from China, but hopefully that's an issue that goes away in due course. So, yeah, they were interested in the property in Tomakabai and back in 2018, as you can see. So, good luck to Hard Rock in Hokkaido. Okay, let's go to the next one, Oscar. I took this picture. I took this picture maybe, I don't know, I'm guessing a couple of years ago now, 18 months ago. Yeah, PAGCOR's revoked finally the license for what we're now calling the failed Cebu Resort Emerald Bay. It's never going to be built, or it's never going to be built by that company anyway. Completely stalled, run out of money, not happening, and they're stuck. Well, you can see the picture where they're stuck. They got the shell up, they poured the concrete for the shell, but nothing more than that. And that's basically how the property's been for a long time now. So, and that property is just a few minutes up the road on Mactan Island, a few minutes up the road. Mactan Island is where the airport is in Cebu. Cebu, the second biggest city in the Philippines. You fly to Cebu from Manila. It's about an hour flight south. It's in Visayas, not in Luzon. and that is just a few minutes up the road from the Newport World Resorts property, which will be called McCann World Resorts, a small boutique property there nestled in amongst the Mega World development, the new town there that Mega World have made. Mega World, of course, being a sister company to Newport World Resorts. Anyway, enough on all that. Let's move on. What else, Oscar? Yeah, a bit of a worrying one. This one, some bombing overnight. Obviously, there's a conflict going on between Cambodia and Thailand at the moment. That's a geopolitical conflict, not a gaming conflict, but the casinos on the border in Poi Phet. That's very recognizable to me, that image. I've been there to Poi Phet a number of times, quite a long time ago now. And yeah, they've been caught up in this in the fighting, so that's not good for the casinos in Poi Phet. All right, I think that's enough to say about that. Let's move on. And still on the Star, yeah. So Soo Kim came out. So Soo Kim had a story in the Australian Financial Review today, I believe it was, an interview, and he mentioned that complete restructuring and major changes to come. And I think that that's a good thing. It was Einstein that was attributed the famous quote, "It's lunacy to do the same thing over and over and expect a different result." Star has been getting bad results for a long, long, long time. It needs a major, major shake-up. And if dismantling the corporate office is what needs to be done, well, so be it. He's not saying that's definitely what's going to happen, but he's throwing that idea out there. And I think he mentions in the story that the number of people in the corporate office has gone from, is it 900 to 1400 or something? Just scroll down there, Oscar. It's in the story somewhere. Or 600 to 1100, right? I got the delta correct. I just didn't get the numbers right. Yeah, that's an increase of 500 jobs in corporate. I mean, that's just too much for a property the size of Star. And of course, that is around the new regulatory requirements and so forth. So look, you want any more details, check it out on asgam.com. Next one, Oscar. It might be these are out of order. Okay. Yeah, I think we'll just, no, these are not out of order. These are the top, yes, yes, yes. Scroll down. This is going to have a big number of views, isn't it? Scroll down, Oscar. Is it? Yeah. Oh, wow, that's a big one. That's not the bottom one. That's not number 10. It's out of order. They're the two, Oscar, that you couldn't get the links to. You got them out of order. The bottom one is about 15,000 views, something like that. And so while Oscar finds that, I will, yes, there you go. I will explain what we're going to do. Look, we're just going to have a little bit of a look back over 2025, being the last IAG Live for the year. And we've got the top 10 stories of 2025 for you, as judged by your clicks. So let's quickly go through them. So Resorts World Genting in Malaysia said to have reopened the Hollywood Casino in time for Chinese New Year. So this was in January 2025, 13,000 hits, as you can see there, or 30,000 views, I should say. Yeah, this was when Resorts World Genting in Malaysia had closed. It's got multiple casinos within, casino floors. They call them different casinos within the entire casino. And they had said to reopen that. We got a lot of people following us in Malaysia and Singapore. You'll see a common theme in these top stories of 2025. A lot of Malaysia, Singapore. We've got huge, huge following there. IAG, and this was just a story about them reopening that just in time for Chinese New Year 2025. All right, that was number 10. So what was number 9, Oscar? 14.2 thousand clicks on Okada story. We also have a big following in the Philippines. This was Fitch making comments that they didn't really see any near-term recovery path for Okada Manila. Just scroll down a little bit, Oscar. They were saying their numbers were down. Absence of a clear recovery path. So that was sort of not great news. Fitch sees no clear trajectory for a near-term recovery in the IR segment, which is a key driver of the negative outlook. Scroll up, Oscar. When was this? This was about, if I remember correctly, middle of the year. Yeah, 30th of July. Yep, sounds about right. All right, number 8. What was number 8? Hope we've got these in order. I got a feeling that may be yes, that's number 8, correct. So yes, RWS announced this iconic 88-meter tall light sculpture as part of their RWS 2.0. They've got to spend $5 billion, is it dollars? I think it is $5 billion US, and this is part of what they're going to do. So yeah, interesting. So I don't know if it's still there. It is. Thank you, Oscar. I don't know if it's still on the books, but I hope it is, because it looks great and would be something iconic, and they need something iconic there at Resorts World Sentosa. And that was obviously a popular story with what is it, Oscar? About 15,000 views. Yeah, yep. Okay. So number 7. What was number 7 this year in 2025? Genting, Singapore sees difficulty in committing high capex if Thai casinos are mainly foreigner only. Yes, so this was again another Genting, Singapore, or Resorts World Sentosa. Obviously, Genting, Singapore being the company that owns Resorts World Sentosa. This was at the time where there was strong talk about Thai casinos, and they were saying if Thai casinos are mainly foreigner only, well, how will they be able to commit strong capex to? And they were saying that Genting Singapore would be interested in owning a Thai casino. And obviously, the Thailand story did not work out well in the end in the short to medium term. I believe in the longer term it'll come back, just as Japan has come back, as we said earlier today. So yeah, 15,000 hits for that one too. Okay, Oscar. So I guess we must be at number 6, I think. If I got my numbers correct. So what's next? Marina Bay Sands abandoned standard holder calculation. Really interesting. Bit of a technical one, but a bit of an interesting one for the gaming wonks. WONKS. You can Google that word if you don't know it. 15,500 hits. Yeah, and traditionally, we have put down 2.7% on rolling as the theoretical win in baccarat, but that's just out the window now with all the side bets, and which have got higher margins, and also the smart tables now, being rolled out pretty much around, certainly throughout Asia, giving more accurate numbers. So that whole sort of 2.7 thing is gone out the window now, and we're just seeing, a new number will emerge, and perhaps there'll be no official number. It'll just be something that varies from property to property based upon the propensity for side bets and the number of side bets in that property. So quite an interesting change in the thinking of gaming executives in the Asia Pacific region. All right, next one, Oscar. I guess it's number 5. 16,000 hits for this one. That looks like Clark. Is that Clark? Yes, Clark Freeport. Yes, there you go. Nice little airport there at Clark, $500 million airport, much more pleasant to fly into than the main Manila airport, Ninoy Aquino International Airport, known as NAIA, or just simply NAIA. Philippines tourists, we'll just scroll up, Oscar, get me the headline again. Arrivals continue to fall, in April, significant declines. Yeah, so that's been a theme of 2025, declining visitation from China and South Korea into the Philippines. And Korean visitation is very important to Clark. So scroll down, Oscar. Yeah, so that one got a lot of hits, 16,000. All right, I guess number 4. Number 4 story for 2025 with 26,000 hits. This was interesting. Veiled message for Thailand as Singapore's PM hails visionary risk leaders took an approving casino development. And it's very, very true. It was a big risk at the time, approving the casinos in Singapore. It was a very un-Singapore-like thing to do. Lee Kuan Yew, the first and longest ever Prime Minister of Singapore, had said over his dead body, would it be approved? But then he changed his mind. He wasn't Prime Minister. His son was Prime Minister when it was finally approved, but he was still a voice that was listened to in a big, big way. And he changed his mind. Ironically, he changed his mind because he said, well, Thailand's going to do it, so we better do it. And then Thailand never did it. Now, of course, it's turned out to be a raging success for Singapore. The goals that Singapore espoused of increasing tourism, increasing international visitation. And a lot of people forget international visitation was flagging in Singapore back at that time, back in the first decade. The aughts, as some people call them, or the noughties, as some people call them, the 2000s. And Marina Bay Sands was brought in to increase that, and what a great job it's done. And you're looking right there at what often is described as the most successful casino in the world. So, the Prime Minister, is it Lawrence Wong, isn't it? Is it the current prime? I should know that. Yeah, it is Lawrence Wong. So Singapore Prime Minister Lawrence Wong kind of gave a veiled message to Thailand. It was a leap of faith for us, and it'll be a leap of faith for you. You need to have the cojones, I guess, to make that leap of faith. So interesting story. All right, number 3. The numbers should be ramping up here. 41,000 views for a small niche B2B media industry media type brand like IAG. That is a lot of views. That's getting into mainstream media type of numbers. Genting opens new mass casino at Resorts World Genting, and that was when was that? That was in January. Yeah, that was early in the year, so that was obviously big news at the time, and a lot of hits, and especially given our very big following in Malaysia and Singapore. Next one, Oscar, number 3 or number 2. I think this might be number 2. I think I've lost track. I'll know because we're going to have a different kind of a one before number 1. 53.6 thousand hits. And this was about the extra $1 billion that Marina Bay Sands sucked it up, and they said, we'll give an extra $1 billion to the Singapore Tourism Board for revisions to their expansion project. So they thought that was worth doing a hell of a lot of money just to be allowed to change the plans. But those changes were obviously expansions, and that will make them more money in the years to come. So that's an investment by Las Vegas Sands. And maybe what's the next one, Oscar? It might be number 2. It might not be. It is no. That's number 1. Oscar. I wanted to go to the bottom one before we did this one, but now that we're here, let's stay here. All right, let's stay here. Go back. And even the bottom one has changed from the one that was there before. Okay. All right. This was the number 1 story, believe it or not, in 2025. Manny Villa, no longer Philippines' richest after losing billions. Well, whether he lost billions or not, sort of a bit of a conjecture. I'll get to that in a minute, on the revaluation of land. And this was read by no less than 114,000 Oscars. You scroll down, what is it? 115,000 people view this. Well, 115,000 views anyway. Some people might have viewed it twice. But that is a huge number of people, and obviously most of them would have been in the Philippines. And what this was all about really was the fact that he revalued this land to a crazy number, and then had to revalue it back down again to something reasonable. So it looked like, he got to claim to be the richest man in the Philippines with this crazy valuation of this land, but then when he was forced to put the valuation back down to something reasonable, he lost that status. But look, I mean, there's no doubt Manny Villa is a very rich person, but is he the richest in the Philippines? Probably no. I think that honor goes to Enrique Rizon, the big boss, the chairman of Bloomberg Resorts, which of course owns Solaire. So yeah, that was the number 1 story. And then for fun, we had the bottom story of okay, it is this one. 132 hits. It's the bottom story that has at least a week, I told Oscar. So only 132 hits for this one. The AGEM index up, and this was in January. Up 34. Well, it was in January. Everybody was on holiday, and also it's about the AGEM index, which is basically an American thing of not so much interest to Asians. So I thought that was a bit of fun. And even our bottom story for the year gets 132 hits. So I think that was interesting. Okay. So we've done all that. Now I just want to just before we get to that, Oscar, perhaps just go back to me. I want to, because it's not about a specific story. Yeah, some themes of 2025. I just thought I'd wrap up the year with giving you some thoughts on 2025 and some thoughts about 2026. So I think themes for 2025. So I think let's start with Macau. I think the solidification of GGR in Macau was sort of the big success story of 2025 for Macau, was the fact that each month seemed to have GGR higher than the month before. Of course, it wasn't exactly that. There's a little bit of seasonality, but year on year, we had consistent growth through the year in Macau, and it looks like our GGR for the year, which we'll know on January 1. And yes, we will publish that on January 1 as a breaking news. I know rest for the wicked for IAG on New Year's Day after a big night the night before, probably. We will publish that around 1 p.m. on January 1, the final number for the GGR for December for 2025. But I think the GGR for the 11 months so far is something around 27 point something billion US dollars. And we expect, or maybe even 28 billion US dollars, and we expect it to crack 30. I think our best guess last time was it might be 30.5 billion US for the year. That's incredible. That really, truly is an incredible number. And all of the 6 concessionaires in Macau need to be congratulated for their efforts in doing that. And that's what competition does. We're always big proponents of competition here at IAG. Look at Las Vegas, fairly high level of competition. Not quite as much as before with the M&A action that's happened in Vegas over the last couple of decades, but still a highly competitive place. Macau, extreme competition, 6 operators competing very robustly against each other. And you look at places that don't have competition, Malaysia, Australia, to a certain extent, they're pretty much single city monopolies, with the possible exception of Brisbane Gold Coast, but they're owned by the same company. So you see that places with competition have got great results for consumers, and that's a good thing. So look, I think Macau's big theme was the solidification of the revenue. 30 billion, wow, what a result. Now, it's not 37 billion we had in 2019 pre-COVID, but of course we don't have junkets. It's not the 43 billion we had, 45 billion we had at the high watermark in 2013, but of course we don't have junkets. And even though that revenue was higher, a lot of that revenue was at very low margin because of paying the junkets quite substantial commissions. So in fact, the EBITDA is just as much, if not more, today than what it was in 2019 or 2013. Because the concessionaires have learned to cut their costs a little bit as well. They had to do that, to learn how to do that during COVID. So I think big theme for Macau is just purely the solidification of the market now into its 3rd year, just completing its 3rd year of the new 10-year concession period. Everything's calmed down, everything's settled down. China seems to be happy with us. We are doing economic diversification at long last to a certain extent. We are getting a different type of visitor to Macau, and we're not getting those super big VIPs as much. Or if they are coming, they're coming via premium direct rather than junkets. So I think China seems to be quite happy with us here in Macau. The big theme for the Philippines was definitely the issue of online gaming and PGOs in the e-game sector. I think that was really, really interesting in the way that the existing operators, Solaire, Okada, COD, all of these existing operators now have the ability to offer an online gaming offering as well. We've got a new IR license coming in New Coast as well in Manila. And of course, we've got Hann even Royce up in Clark. We've got New Star down in Cebu. There's a lot of IR operators around the Philippines, perhaps more to come. Manny Villa is trying to do it. Let's see how that will roll out, but online gaming is going to be a part of that. So the Philippines will be the center of, as it has been for many years, will be the center of online gaming in Asia, and how the Philippines deals with online gaming. Of course, it's only within their own shores. Will be an interesting thing in the years to come, post the banning of pogos, but the sort of approval of pigos, I guess you would say, if they were going to be banned, they would have been banned by now, and they have had regulatory action to give them sustainability. Australia, I guess the theme there is the comeback of Crown in Melbourne into profitability. Congratulations to David Tsai. Congratulations to all of his team. Ed Domingo down at CEO of Crown Melbourne, Stanford Lee, Brian Pereira, that's respectively the CEOs of Crown Sydney and Crown Perth, and David Tsai, of course, being the CEO of Crown Resorts, who I'll be catching up with over the break in Melbourne. Before I head on the big magical mystery tour around the world, bunny hopping my way to ICE and then beyond around the world in January. So congratulations to them. Obviously, we've just talked about it, the big upheavals for Star, Bally's taking over. So real positive changes in Australia. Now let's see if the regulators can take a more sensible attitude towards Australia, a more balanced attitude. Did the pendulum need to swing towards consumer safety and penalising the operators and coming down harder on them for past behaviours? My word, it did. Absolutely, it did. And but does the pendulum need to swing back now to somewhere a little bit more reasonable? It does, to have a viable industry in Australia. And if you don't have a viable industry in Australia, well, hand the industry over to the criminals, thank you, like they've done with the cigarette and tobacco industry in Australia. So that was the theme there. Singapore, I guess it's a tale of two properties in Singapore, Resorts World and Marina Bay Sands, and the massive disparity in market share between the two. Marina Bay Sands kicking butt, just kicking butt, doing really, really well. Not without its problems during the year, not perfect, but as close to perfect as you'd like to see. And the service culture there is fantastic. I would describe it as Wynn-like service, or maybe even better. I mean, the service at Marina Bay Sands is just exceptional, priced accordingly, but they're getting those numbers. So why wouldn't you do that? That makes business sense. Resorts World Sentosa needs help, low market share, but our friend Gent Sing has gone there from Korea, a lot of weight on his shoulders. Hopefully he can make a difference there. And I think it would be good to have a healthy Resorts World Sentosa. Nothing against Resorts World Sentosa, nothing against Genting. I think having too much of a disparity between the two properties is a bad thing, because you almost get an effective monopoly. Sometimes I describe Singapore as a 1.5-opoly, something between a monopoly and a duopoly. So it would be good to see Resorts World Sentosa lift its game, and it's spending $5 billion. So it's doing things. So hopefully that results in a better result for Resorts World Sentosa. So there's sort of the four big markets of the Asia Pacific industry: Macau, Philippines, Australia, and Singapore. Of course, there are smaller markets. Vietnam, interesting what they're doing in locals gaming there. Korea, interesting to see the Prime Minister's comments about gifting and about being able to have a license in South Korea being a sort of a gift. I don't know if it's a gift. They're not making much money there. They're not the foreigner only casinos. So that was an unusual, perhaps ill-informed comment. If anything, they need another gift, that gift being allowing locals to play, because when that property opens in Osaka in 2030 or 2031 or whenever it is, there goes a lot of the Japan market that currently is playing in South Korea. So look, they're themes for 2025. Some thoughts on 2026. Look, I think I won't give answers. I'll give questions, and the questions would be these. Macau's prospects for 2026, seeing the revival in 2025, will it flatten out or will the increase in GGR continue? Will that 30.5 billion become 31 billion run rate, 32 billion, 33 billion? Which concessionaires will be winners and which concessionaires will be losers? MGM was by far the big winner of 2025 in Macau, doing a great job. Galaxy, a big comeback after faltering a little, perhaps in 23 and 24, a really good comeback job. Sands going through an upheaval at the moment, staff changes. They really need to do something a little different, Sands, to be honest. You've got Rob Goldstein, the outgoing Rob Goldstein, who'll be transitioning to senior advisor from March 1, with Patrick Dumont taking over as COO and chairman, or chairman and COO, I should say. But you've got Rob Goldstein saying that Macau's not doing as well as it should. Obviously, Singapore's kicking butt. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see what happens. Can SJM get out of the hole that it's in? Wynn's doing a little better in Macau, so that's good for them. And Melco is slowly paying down its debt. That's a big theme for Melco. Will they sell COD? Manila remains to be seen. Will the Macau government increase the slots cap of 12,000 and the table cap of 6,000 anytime soon? Maybe we need it. Yeah. So, and the question of investment arises in Macau as well. Only 7 years to go to the end of the concessions. Do you start pulling back on investment? This is one of the things that I said when they only gave a 10-year license or 10-year concession. Not really long enough in the investment cycle. So, in the last 7 years, traditionally you start to pare back investment. So, let's see. Philippines, what will happen with the PIGOs? How can they address the lack of Chinese and South Korean visitors? Australia, how will the Bally's thing play out for Star in Sydney? That's interesting. Can Crown continue its run up and get back to its former glory? And, outside all of those markets, what will happen with Vietnam with the locals? New Zealand allowing online gaming. That's super interesting. I think they're allowing, is it 11 licenses, 14 licenses? I can't remember. Something like that, though. You'd imagine Sky would probably get one of those. We don't know yet, but New Zealand being one of the very few jurisdictions allowing online gaming, well, the only one really beyond the Philippines, that will be interesting. And it'll be interesting also to see how the trade show issue plays out in 2026 as well. So I think there's some thoughts and questions about 2026. And then very finally, to wrap up the year, Oscar, now we can put up that last story. We announced yesterday, we published this, and it was actually in today's breakfast briefing, the last ever breakfast briefing for the year. We announced our entire 2026 calendar of events. People have been putting us under pressure for years to do this. Scroll down, Oscar, to the table. So we finally, every year we're trying to do it. And we have this year been able to announce the dates. We haven't announced all the venues. Actually, of the 6 venues for the 6 MADs, 3 in Manila and 3 in Macau, we haven't announced any venues, but actually 4 of them are pretty much locked in. I won't say because we haven't absolutely finalized, but 4 of them are pretty much locked in. And a couple, we certainly have made proposal on one, and there's one other that we need to approach the company that we're thinking about. But look, it will almost certainly be those 6 dates. So please get them in your diary if you're in Macau. I think April, a bit small for me to read, Oscar. Maybe go full screen on that. Take me out for a second, or put me down in the little bottom corner or something. Oh, there you go. You made it bigger. That's one way to do it. Yeah, there we go. April 14, July 7, we're hoping for. December 4 is locked in for Christmas. That's for the Macau MADs. For the Manila MADs, a week later, April 21. September 7 as part of the IAG Expo. Oh, there we go. and December 10, the Christmas Mad in Manila. And then scroll down, Oscar. Then our standalone events at the very, very popular industry party. That's already locked in, May the 13th, again at the Vista at MGM Cotai. I thought I corrected that comma, putting a space between the comma and the M and MGM Cotai. Perhaps, Oscar, we can get that fixed sometime today. I think I corrected it in the magazine for January. Anyway, the industry party will be on Wednesday, May 13th, coinciding with G2E Asia. We have this sort of ongoing arrangement with G2E Asia that we don't do anything on day one, but on day two, we do the industry party, and that seems to be the most popular networking event throughout G2E Asia, to be honest with you. I think we had something approaching 400 people last year, so it's a very, very popular event. And then, of course, the Power 50 I mentioned earlier in this IAG Live will be on Friday, November the 6th. And look, that's going to be at Galaxy Macau. We'll announce that in Q1 next year, the exact venue. We already know where it's going to be, but you can lock that in your diaries for Galaxy Macau. And then, of course, the return of the IAG Expo in Manila for 2026, and of course that will include the opening MAD, the exhibition that we had for the first time last year. Big improvements coming in the exhibition in 2026. Not that it was particularly bad last year, but we learned a lot. It being our first year, we learned a lot of improvements to come. We're already working very hard on that, and we'll be announcing things a lot earlier this year than we did last year. And of course, the IAG Academy Summit, the 2-day summit, and the IR Awards, always very, very popular on the Tuesday evening. That'll be on the evening of September the 8th. So they're all the IAG events. And then if you scroll down, Oscar, all the trade shows that we'll be visiting during the year, maybe just zoom out one click. That's we can go a little smaller there. That's it. Yes, so just scroll, Oscar, to the top. ICE, of course, ICE in Barcelona is on everybody's minds already. Gee, I wish it was in early February rather than mid to late third week of January. It used to be in early February in London. Now it's in around the third week of January in Barcelona. I've talked to the ICE organisers about that. Their hand is forced in that. They would go later if they could, but the problem is the venue is booked when they would like to be. So unfortunately, it has to be early. So we'll all be arriving on the 17th of January. Be a big team from IAG there. Ben will be there. Jason will be there. I will be there. Oscar will be there. Corey will be there from CDC. He'll be flying over from the US. And Hannah from Complete iGaming. For those that don't know, we have 3 brands in the group now, completeigaming.com. Go check it out, covering the iGaming industry in the Americas and the Asia Pacific region. Hannah will also be there. She's based in the UK, so it's a short flight for her. So there'll be a team of 6 there at ICE from the Complete Media Group, CMG Group. Of course, comprising IAG, CDC, and Complete iGaming, CIG. And we'll be there doing a lot during Barcelona. Then I will be heading on to the US, spending some time in the US, and then flying over the Pacific directly to Sydney for regulating the game. March 9 to 11, I'm chairman of day 2, I think it is, of that event. That's always a great event in Sydney. And then I'll be hopping on a plane and flying back over the Pacific to San Diego, where I'll be going to my first ever IGA, the Indian Gaming Show, the second biggest trade show in the US, covering the Indian gaming industry. Of course, we don't cover that in IAG, but with my responsibilities as CEO of Complete Media Group, I'll be checking that out. Then back over to Asia, back home to Macau for G2E Asia, May 12 to 14, with, of course, on May 13th, the industry party. Then back over to the Americas again. I'll be going to the Canadian Gaming Summit in Toronto along with Corey, May 19 to 21. Then I'm thinking of going to IAGA, not absolutely determined yet. That's why it says tentative, but that's down in Sarasota in Florida, June 2 to 4. then followed by SBC Summit Americas nearby in Fort Lauderdale, just on the other side of Florida, at Fort Lauderdale, which of course is a suburb of the greater Miami area, really, June 9 to 11. Then back over to Australia, to Sydney for AGE. IAG used to have a big involvement in the AGE. Now we just go as visitors. Perhaps that involvement will happen again one day, but for the moment, we'll just let AGE be AGE. So that's August 11 to 13. And then, of course, we're very excited about the IAG Expo, September 7 to 9. MAD on September 7. The IAG Exhibition on September 8 and 9. Same dates for the summit. And, of course, the IAG Academy IR Awards on the evening of Tuesday, September 8. That's always a great week in Manila. And then we actually even have an event on the 10th as well, which an unofficial event on the 10th that we don't publicize. So look, that's gonna be a big week for us in Manila, the IAG Expo, and we'll be making lots of announcements about that in January and February, a lot earlier than we did in 2025. Then of course G2E in the Las Vegas. We'll be over there, and I'll be in Las Vegas for about 3 weeks actually, including the G2E period, September 28 to October 1. And unfortunately, for some bizarre reason, G2E has moved earlier than it normally is. It's normally a week or even 10 days later into October. They've gone earlier, and SBC Summit, which is normally sort of the 3rd week of September, has gone to the end of September. So now they're clashing, which is crazy. So we'll be sending Hannah Stewart from Complete iGaming to the SBC Summit, and the team from Jadeson, Ben, myself, and Scott Messenger, our Chief of Staff, will all be going over to G2E to join the gang, the CDC gang. Corey Roberts and about 8 of his team will all be at G2E in Las Vegas. So there'll be over a dozen of us, I think, at G2E from the Complete Media Group, wider group. And Hannah will have to hold the fort at SBC Summit in Lisbon. And finally, at the very end of the year, I will go straight on from Las Vegas I'll stay in Las Vegas for a while. And then I'm planning to go to Lima in Peru, down in South America, for the International Association of Gaming Regulators, the IAG, as opposed to IAG event. Went to that one in 2025, which was in Toronto. I got a lot out of that event. It was surprisingly good, and it's the largest regulator event in the world. And IAG is doing a deal with them. So we're going to be giving them a bit of coverage. I think it was a really interesting event. So that event moves all around the world. So this year it's in Lima in Peru. And who knows, I might even hop over to Brazil, given what's going on in Brazil at the moment with iGaming. Before heading back, of course, to Asia for our for Power 50 and Christmas Mads. So that's our very, very hectic schedule for 2026. It's been a very long IAG Live, a bit over an hour. Our last one for the year. I just wanted to wrap up the year, go through the news of this week, because it actually was a really busy week. Look at the top 10 of 2025, talk a bit about 2026, and then say goodbye to you all for the year. We are barring any huge breaking news, there will be no IAG Live until the first Friday after our office gets back. So I guess that'll be the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. I think it's, if I'm not mistaken, it's the next IAG Live will be Friday, the 9th of January 2026. Thank you for viewing. Thank you for being a loyal IAG follower through the year. We've worked very, very hard. Thank you to all of our sponsors and supporters through the year. And a big, big thank you to the IAG team. We certainly, I couldn't do what I do without the team. I'm not going to name them all, but Ben Blaschke, our managing editor, Jason Ho, our VP of Sales and BD, Dorothy Loy, who's our director of events. We've got a huge events business at IAG, and she does a great job. Of course, our Chief of Staff, Scott Messenger, who's across the whole business. Oscar, who I said thank you to earlier, who's in the studio right now. And everybody else at the team as well. Our Director of Finance, Sue Liang, Yvonne, who runs New Macau, all of the, my EA, Cynthia, and everybody. I'm not going to name them all, but everybody that has worked on IAG during the year. Of course, Corey Roberts, now based in the US, but is the COO of IAG, as well as running CDC, and is the COO and CTO of IAG and of CMG as well, Complete Media Group. Thanks to Corey for his partnership and hard work during the year. And I wish you all a very, very Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays, whatever religion you happen to follow. Have a great, great time. Enjoy time with your families. Take some time off. I know we will be too. If there is some huge breaking news, we will break in and do it. But other than that, enjoy our holiday series in IAG Breakfast Briefing, which starts Monday. We'll look back at 2025 by topic. And we will see you all on Monday, the 5th of January, 2026, for the resumption of play of Inside Asian Gaming. That's it. I am Andrew Scott, the Vice Chairman and CEO of Inside Asian Gaming, and it's bye for now. See you in 2026. See ya.